All right, good morning and welcome back once again to our channel Princess State. Today is the 16th of July 2025, and we are grateful to God for bringing us back on board. Now, there are some matters I'm going to be touching this morning. They are all encompassing, ranging from the cluster heads who are demanding some questions at a time like this, the cluster heads, the bundle heads, the NGOs, and then some of the platforms that are logged, and then the percentage payout that is being demanded by some clusters after payment. So this submission is going to really be all encompassing. So I advise you to stay from beginning to the end. Listen close, because some vital comments are going to be passed out, which is going to be vital to your own personnel for being in this grant ecosystem and for you receiving this grant. Now, expectations surrounding the highly anticipated UAAG grant disbursement is heightened. An increasing number of voices, particularly from some cluster heads and NGO affiliates, have begun to raise questions that are not only valid, but emotionally charged. There was a striking message that speaks volumes. It's not just a complaint, it was a plea for justice, for clarity, and also recognitions. A lot of people who have spent sleepless nights mobilizing data, recruiting clusters, and preparing structured bundles, some of them are now grappling with uncertainty and fear of abandonment. Now, in their eyes, their efforts could end up in vain due to technicalities, miscommunication, or some silent rerouting of plans between the sanctuary wealth and some of the smaller administrators. Now, this discourse is not to fan division, but rather bring constructive justice to the table. Yeah. Now, the cry of the cluster heads is a responsibility. The person who peddled this message, I'm going to read up the message for us just in a short while. He appears to be representing thousands of cluster heads across Nigeria. Many of them did not register people only, but they mentored them. Some of them followed up on every data submissions. They ensured corrections, that corrections were made on time, and they ensured that order was maintained. They were the bridge, in other words, that was between the grassroots and the national NGOs. In return, what they seek is not royalty or worship. They seek inclusion and fairness. They do. Now, in his words, I think there was a way the individual mixed up the issue of who is to pay. Is it UAAG or the sanctuary wealth? Now, I guess he doesn't know that the both of them are the same. They are the same. Now, part of what he was talking about, whether it was a he or a she, was like when the information began to circulate that sanctuary wealth might disburse ahead of UAAG. That's what he was saying. But they are the same. I'm just trying to clarify this, that sanctuary wealth is the same. It's just the name with UAAG. In fact, the current name right now is Sanctuary Wealth Multipurpose NGO. All right. So panic began to set in, and the major concern was Sanctuary Wealth bypass the clusters formed under the UAAG umbrella and introduce a new system entirely, ignoring the existing data that was and the bundles that came in through UAAG. Now, for the records, you that required response from this particular submission, Sanctuary Wealth is the name, all right, is the name of the NGO initiative under Apostle Ken. It is not different from UAAG, all right? They're not paying different. It's the same body. And the same data that existed under UAAG is still on the Sanctuary Wealth. All All right. He or she says, will my work, pains, and hard-earned income be in vain? It's not going to be in vain. So get that clear. I hope that is clear. Now, also on the decorum and communication, praise for some NGOs. I guess this is a praise for some NGOs. Some are complaining of locked platforms. While some cluster heads have felt so abandoned, others have acknowledged the effort of NGOs who, despite locking their platforms, they continue to communicate and calm nerves. Now, let it be clear. Not every NGO is at fault. No. Some have chosen to lock platforms not to suppress others, but to maintain others, to prevent misinformation, and also allow sensitive operations to take place without panic or sabotage. However, there should be a balance. I want to suggest, I want to put forward a suggestion that is worth implementing. There should be some level of intermittent opening of platforms for interactions once in a while, question and answer sessions, feedback polls. This approach is going to strike the right balance between decorum and engagement. A lot of persons were saying that when they needed to collect funds, the platforms were open, but now that there were some burning questions in their heart, they locked the platform permanently. There should be a balance. Once in a while, the platform can be opened. If the admin have discovered that the person or the people that are inside this group, they are toxic, it is only normal to lock the platforms, but you supply them information intermittently. You understand? But once in a blue moon, once in a while, open up the platform, because we are dealing with people here and emotions also are heightened. Once in a while, open the platforms. You just have to regulate it. All right. Then I'm also going to dwell on the exploitations by some cluster heads, which is a growing monster at a time like this. It's been a repeated questions that have fallen to our ears over time. While the system has many who work with sincerities, there is also an unfortunate emergence of greed, particularly by some cluster heads who are now demanding some outrageous payback. For God's sake, the money has not been paid. You've not even cited the fund, but you're demanding the payout, humongous payout amounts from beneficiaries upon disbursement. Some have boldly claimed that they must receive 40%, some 50%, or even more of each disbursement made to a beneficiary under their care. Now, if a person receives 1 million, for instance, they are to remit 400,000 to 500,000 to their cluster heads. I beg your pardon, who does that? A whole 400,000, 500,000, half of the payout goes to you because you show them the way. But now, this is extortion, plain and simple. Let us assume a cluster head has 1,000 persons under him and charges 40% from each beneficiary. If each person is disbursed 1 million, that cluster head is positioned to receive a whooping 400 million. For what? For data collection. For data collection. Yes, effort was made. Yes, bundles were submitted. Yes, they deserve a token or a tip, but a percentage that will leave beneficiaries impoverished or without capital to actually start a business is both immoral and criminal in nature. Moderation is maturity. Let cluster heads be rewarded, yes, but let it be reasonable. Let it be reasonable. The issue of UAAG versus sanctuary wealth, who is paying, I think I've addressed that. There's no separate database or prioritizing NGOs with internal benefits. It should be stated clearly. The UAAG data is going to be used for the sanctuary wealth. Let that also be communicated without ambiguity. And then there was the issue of that we begin to hear also that the entire bundle may not be used, that only just a couple of bundles from the bundles submitted will be allocated for disbursement or something like that. That is almost like equal to telling people that their work was meaningless. If that is true, quote me, if that is true, that their work was meaningless. Someone amassing 450 something clusters, then you have to pay just one bundle of 1,000 beneficiaries. If that was true, some of these things we bring up here, not because they don't fall out, they fall out into the ears of the masses. And it's only natural. We are not concluding when we make submissions like this. We just push it out as a narrative to the public that in case such a thing is flying, then it is the duty and responsibility of the management to clarify these are not people, not put people in the loo. It is their duties to really sanitize the ecosystem, to bring clarity to the table, so that people are not just believing fake or false hopes. And before disbursement happens, there should be clarity. No human being, especially one who labored for others' upliftments, want to be told that their work was meaningless. No. Data collection at the grassroots level in Nigeria is no small task. It's not a small task. It involves convincing some skeptical people to trust a system they have never seen before operated. So when someone like the person who actually gave this concern, says that he gathered 427 clusters, the pain is real. I couldn't wrap my head around that figure. Gathered 427 clusters. The expectation is rooted in sweat. You know what that means? And any system that disregards that kind of effort without explanation undermines trust, not only in NGOs, but in the entire grant disbursement ecosystem. Let it serve as a clarion call to value every submission, even if payments cannot go through immediately. Let there be acknowledgement. Let transparency be the currency of this process. Now, I want to give us some practical solution to heal some of the disconnections and also restore confidence. These are practical realities that are strongly advised. Yes. The cluster heads, they should receive the digital acknowledgement that their data would be used. Eventually, is going to be used. There should be a national cap or benchmark for what cluster heads can demand. For example, a flat 10,000 naira to 20,000, I'm just giving an example, 10,000 naira to 20,000 naira per person, or a maximum of 5 to 10% tip from disbursement voluntarily offered by the beneficiaries. You understand? I'm just quoting a random figure. No. And then platforms, NGOs and clusters should designate like 2 days in a month to open group chats for queries, for updates, for bondings. I believe that this is going to keep hope alive and disarm misinformations. Then cluster heads who demand unreasonable amounts must be reported anonymously and publicly cautioned so that others could learn from their shame. Now, conclusively, we should allow justice to flow like water. Yes, as July unfolds and tension mounts, we urge all stakeholders, NGOs, umbrella bodies, cluster heads, coordinators to remember this. You are dealing with human beings. Their hopes, their sacrifices, their future rest in your conduct. The individual who submitted that heartfelt message does not want the world. He or she just wants assurance that their effort was not in vain and that fairness will find them when the time comes. Let justice not be a political slogan. Let it be the response that its cluster heads deserves. If this resonates with your pain or realities, let your voice join the call for justice, for balance, and for transparent reward. This is Prince's Seed Channel. It's a channel with legitimacy of update, information that could spice your life. Get involved. In case you're new, subscribe, hit the bell, and also the notification bell so that when we drop one, you get one. Thank you very much. A very wonderful Wednesday ahead of you. Bye for now.